Okay, so we've previously looked at this work in a recent lesson where you had to answer some questions about the structural and subjective frame looking at this work. So we're going to go a little bit more in depth looking at the structural frame this lesson. And the reason we're doing this is because it's important to understand many aspects of the work. So that's what the frames are for. So by looking at work from a number of different perspectives, we get a really holistic and deeper understanding of, not just the work itself, but the context in which it was made, as well as, the, cultural, social, political kind of context that it fits into. But the structural frame is a really good starting off point because it looks at the work itself. It looks at the physical work, and then from there we can start to kind of extrapolate ideas or use what we know about the artist and the world that it was being made in to make some assumptions about some of the meaning contained in the work perhaps. So as I said, this lesson is going to be looking at the structural frame, which, as we remember, deals with things like the physicality of the work, so the size of the work, materials that are used, techniques that are used, as well as signs and symbols in the work, which we can kind of decode and start to get some meaning out of the work. So this is the worksheet that I've attached to this page. Up the top, you can download that as a Word doc. So we'll be filling that out. This lesson I'll be going through. So what I'd ask you to do is fill it out as well. Add some things that you think as well. So don't just, copy verbatim what I've written. If you have some thoughts, put them in there as well. So I've got the work here just so we don't have to keep scrolling up and down. And we can see what we're talking about while we answer the questions. So let's get started. So the artist name is obviously, and I might do this in a different color just to make it quite obvious what the answer, like what I'm writing and what the questions are. So the artist name is Vasily Kandinsky. The title of the work, and let's get used to writing artist's name, title of work, year that it was made in this kind of format. So when you're writing in your essay, there's some continuity in the way that you're writing about works, and it's just the kind of accepted way to write about an artwork. So the title is Yellow, Red, Blue, and the year is 1925. The location of the work, we don't know. It's not so important for this, but it's not site-specific because, it can be interpreted essentially wherever it's being displayed, and it's not going to change the meaning too much, with perhaps a few exceptions, but it's not a site-specific work. So what form is the work? The work is an oil painting. That is 120 by 200 centimeters. So it's quite large. It's not a tiny work, but it's also not a large scale work as well. Medium sized work. And these, things might be really obvious to us, but it's good just to kind of have them there because all these things together really give us a better idea of the work. So which materials and techniques have been used? So oil paint has been used to create this work. Techniques. So we can see here there's a number of techniques. So there's, elements of kind of, shading or like gradients within the work. There's also block colors. There's really bold lines. There's, not so bold. There's outlines, there's not outlines. So there's a number of things going on here. So we can say in some sections of the work, there is detailed shading and the use of gradients within certain sections. Other sections, though, have been created using solid block colors. But the technique is that of traditional modern painting. So there's nothing too out there. We don't see any, use of spray paint, any use of, smudging or anything. It's quite traditional in that sense. So which art elements are emphasized? And we've got a list of the elements here. I think let's have a look. Let's just go straight to this question, actually. So scale and size. And we can say there are a number of different sized objects within the painting, ranging from large, such as the shape on the left hand side, to smaller objects such as the circles, lines, and cross-hatched section, which is this section I'm talking about down here. So we can see, there's a figure here which kind of looks like a human head to some extent, but most other objects are quite small. So we do have a range of different sized objects in there. What other? So colour is an important one, as it is with all Kandinsky works. So, the work's called yellow, red, blue, and those colours do feature predominantly. So colours in the work relate heavily to the title. Yellow, red, blue, and these colours, fill most of the pictorial space. There are, however, sections where secondary colours, such as purple, orange, and greens have been used as well. And so when we're going through, I'm just going to focus on the ones that are important to this painting. So line is another important one here. So line has been used in a variety of ways. Okay. There is a combination both straight and curved lines which intersect at various points. thickness of lines in some areas has been emphasized. However, in other areas, shapes and objects have been created without a solid or emphasized line. Okay, so what have we got next? Shape. Similar to the use of line, there are a number of ways that shape has been used in this painting. For instance, there are some geometric and right-angled shapes that have been used, while other areas have been filled with more natural curved shapes. Some shapes are vaguely recognizable, such as the reference to the human on the left-hand side of the work, while other shapes are completely abstract and not recognizable. So tone, texture, light, space. Let's go away from tone and texture. Light, let's go to space. So pictorial space, and the pictorial space is just the painting that we're looking at. So the area of the canvas or that's been filled with here. Space is quite cluttered, particularly towards the center. Center. There are some areas, negative space towards the outside of the work though. Okay, so for this video, I'm going to leave it there, but the next video will pick up where we left off here.